Hey Damien, how you doing today?
Hey Craig, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem at
I
all.
know you're a busy man, doing lots of touring, and so it's good to all get together. So, first question I want to ask is, how have you dealt? Last year you survived it, um,
Barely.
but how did you go about sort of adapting in last year? With not being able to play.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, man. It was really tough, especially when you love what you do, and we love to tour and love to get out and play to people. And we had a really busy year. We put out a record the year before, so we were still kind of touring off the back of that.
Yes.
We just released a new single right at the start of the first lockdown, and yeah, we lost, I don't even know what it was, something like 20 odd shows overnight.
Wow.
But I did some online stuff. I did a Saturday Night Live on
Yes.
Facebook and just interviewed a lot of my friends and played some songs and yeah, I got into the art of making cocktails. So I I drank a lot during the lockdown, but yeah, it was really tough, man. Like
Yeah.
I can remember just waking up every morning and opening up the blinds and just looking outside and going, is this life?
Yeah.
And then trying to fill in the day and closing the blinds again at night, and just yeah, it was tough. I kind of once shows started to come back, I've been out doing quite a few kind of just solo pub gigs,
Yes.
which I stopped doing. I haven't done them for a couple of years because the band has been so busy. But I was just like, anything to get out of the house at the moment.
Yes.
Just get me out of the house. I'll even play Daryl Braithwaite covers if I have to.
Right.
But yeah, it was tough, but we got through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of your family being safe, is everybody all doing well on that side?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's really good. Most of my family are in northwest New South Wales, so they actually haven't even had a case where they're from out that way.
Right.
So yeah, but they've still got to abide by the same rules as us, and I know my mum's still got to wear a mask to work at the moment. It's
Right.
crazy times.
Yeah, certainly is. And in terms of like not playing gigs, were you writing, were you thinking of ideas, riffs or
You know what?
melodies?
That was kind of the plan. I'm like, I'm going to have so much time to write. And having a lot of friends in Nashville, and obviously they're in a bad way over there. So I thought, well,
Yes.
I'll be able to Skype right and Zoom right with all these guys, and we're going to have so much time on our hands. And I just never felt inspired to do anything. I think
Right.
I was definitely, it was some kind of depression, just being cooped up inside and not being able to do what you love to do. So
Yes.
I didn't write a thing,
Right.
during the whole lockdown. So I had a couple of writes kind of booked in. I cancelled them. I just wasn't in the headspace really.
Yes.
Right. So. And I probably should have, because we're probably due for some new music this year, but
That's right.
we'll see how we go.
And I guess like you don't want to be writing about like COVID and what's happening. It's a little bit depressing. So I guess you want to be in a good frame of mind, right?
Yeah, especially with what we do, it's kind of positive in a way, I guess.
Yes.
Like our thing is we like to play live and people to have a good time. That's what it's all about. So yeah, just steer clear of that negative stuff, I feel.
Yeah. Having a good time, having a few beers and rocking out.
Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, let's talk about actually 2021. I mean, you go to your website, you've got your booking, you got like a super cruise booked for 2021 at the end of 2021. So everything's all looking bright.
It is. A lot of the festivals that we got that were cancelled last year are kind of rescheduling for this year. So we're picking up a bit of stuff. So hopefully that kind of leads into twice as much work this year. But
yes,
things are looking good. We've done quite a few gigs the last few weekends, and we've got one this weekend too. So it
And
feels
how
like
is
there's
how
some sort of normality coming back.
Sorry, Damien. How is it like now in Australia in terms of playing a gig? Have they got like the restrictions there? Do you have to wear masks into the clubs, or going to a show?
Yeah, it's pretty much kind of normal. Like there's a limit on people, but I think they've just lifted the limit of the square meter rule, whatever that is. I think it's kind of back to normal now, but people can't dance, and that's really tough.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It was kind of a novelty at first to playing gigs after so long.
Yes.
And even though people couldn't dance, it was like, oh, well, at least we're playing, and they seem to be enjoying themselves. But it's kind of getting to the point now where it's really just affecting us, because we're like, are people enjoying this, having to sit down?
Yeah.
So I think even outdoors now, there's still restrictions on dancing, but hopefully we haven't had a case in New South Wales for 30 days, I think, today.
Oh, that's good.
Hopefully they'll lift some stuff this week so we can dance this weekend, because, yeah.
It's very annoying. I don't want to get too into it, but they're having those riots in Sydney there. Last year, and there was 10,000 people there. But you can't get up and dance.
Yeah. Well, the hilarious thing was we do a Sydney Harbour cruise every year, which we had to cancel last year, but we rescheduled. We did it 2 weeks ago in February.
Right.
And we were cruising around the harbour, and we could see the Sydney cricket ground, and we were on a cruise boat, like just a small. There was 150 of us on the boat, but we knew that there was 30,000 people at the cricket, but we weren't allowed to dance or sing. Punters aren't allowed to sing either.
Wow.
At gigs here, so yeah,
that's just ridiculous, isn't it?
It's silly. You could stand there and scream the top of your lungs over the band, but don't sing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, well, let's hope it's going in the right direction. So hopefully, it'll get better. Totally. So Damien, the Viper Creek band Valhalla. So let's go way back, even before that. So I do believe that you grew up in a small little town, Narrabri. Is it correct?
Born and bred in Narrabri.
Yep. So tell us about that for the international listeners. Whereabouts is that in Australia?
So it's northwest New South Wales.
Right.
I guess I think the population is about 7,000 or 8,000 people. So it's a fairly small town, like lots of farming and cotton farming and stuff like that. That way, this is kind of the big industry.
Yes.
And not a lot of music out in those parts, but I just kind of grew up with a massive love of music, and
yes.
Yeah.
Were your mum and dad like musicians as well?
Not musicians, but really big music fans. Like they both loved music, and so there's a lot of music in. I remember car trips and all the music that I thought my dad was kind of torturing me with at the time, like the Beatles and. Right. Like I used to hate the Beatles. Now I've got like a Beatles tattoo on my arm. So, right. Yeah. Things change, but mum and dad were massive music fans, so I guess I got the love of music from them, and got a guitar at 13 and started to learn and play songs and stuff like that, and found a few like-minded people in Narrabri and started my first band when I was 16, I think. So I was 16 and playing in pubs and clubs and stuff around Narrabri. And
so what is the music scene like there in Narrabri?
I mean, there's quite a few musicians around there, I guess. And I think back in the day, there was probably 2 or 3 bands in the town.
Yes.
Not a lot to do in those places. So, and especially back in those days before the internet and Netflix and stuff. So people used to go out and watch bands all the time. Yes. So we were playing a lot back in those days. So.
And then what was that first was your first band there in Narrabri, or was this a little bit later after that?
No, in Narrabri. So a couple of guys I went to school with, and I played bass in that band. Funnily enough, I was just a bass player, Sorry, bass players. And then we had a singer at the time, and I think we had some kind of disagreement, and he just didn't turn up to a gig one night, and I knew I could sing in key, and I did sing a couple of songs in our set, and when he didn't show up, I just said to the boys, look, I know all the words, I'll sing. And from there, everyone, all the punters that were there were like, oh, you guys sound so much better when you're singing, so you should be the singer. And we're thinking, that's one less person we have to pay. This could work. So I kind of maybe never wanted to be the lead singer, but kind of fell into it and still doing it. So it's very natural progression. Like most people work at it really hard. They do training, with their vocals, but it must be very natural, right? Well, I don't know. I've had quite a few lessons since then and learned a lot. But back then, I don't know if you call it singing. Maybe it was more like screaming. Screaming. And what sort of music? What sort of music were you playing back then? Like, was it just like a bunch of covers, like classic rock? Or? Yeah, basically covers. From John Mellencamp to the Rolling Stones, and I mean, at the time, I guess it was the '90s, so a lot of Pearl Jam and probably Silverchair, and I'm trying to think what we used to play. Nirvana, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So just stuff that people liked and that we kind of liked too. So yeah, lots of fun. And then did that band record anything, or it was just sort of like here we are, we're playing some covers? Did you? No, it was just covers that band, and we were all in year 12 together, and then once school finished, everyone kind of left town and stuff, and we're still friends. I see those guys still all the time. So yeah, good memories. And is it like after you leave school, is it like, okay, let's go to Newcastle, let's go to Sydney? Well, yeah, this is where Valhalla's going to come into it. So, which was I was in a cover band in Newcastle, which Craig knows about. I think I was in that band for nearly 18 years. Wow. So it was a long time. And I kind of met these guys. They're called Valhalla. They were already a band before I joined. Was it still in Narrabri? They were all from Moree. So so that's about 100 kilometres northwest further. Like it's about an hour's drive from Narrabri. But they were all from there, and they were kind of doing the pub scene as well. And I think at the time that their singer was a bit older, and they were kind of looking for someone a bit younger and to join. And they actually came to Narrabri and did a show, and I had a show the next night with my band. I think the guys had come back to town for something, and we were playing some party, and I said to the guys, why don't you come out to the show and get up and we'll play some songs together, and that can kind of be my audition. And they turned up to the party and got up, and we played a few songs, and they offered me the gig. And I kept going back from Narrabri to Moree like every weekend and rehearsing until we got the kind of the show up and running, and then we started playing gigs all around the northwest. And wow, it was a really good time back in those days. Like the northwest New South Wales, there's a bit of a cool scene there, and I still remember there was ads on TV, and all the venues would take out advertising time, and they promote where all these bands were playing on the weekend. And we had a 22-seater bus, and we chucked the PA in the back. Yeah, right. We would travel. We would play. Well, actually, we moved to Tamworth. We all moved to Tamworth because we were getting a lot of work around there. But we would play Port Macquarie, way out to Lightning Ridge and all those Armidale and all those towns around then. And then we started to get a lot of work in around the Hunter Valley and Newcastle. We're pretty much coming here every weekend.
Right.
And we were all massive fans of the Screaming Jets and Silverchair. So we were like, we've got to go to Newcastle. That's where the scene is. So yeah, it was the day after my 21st birthday. We all moved here to Newcastle.
Yeah, right.
And back in those days, I guess, God, 95, 96. You know what it's like. There was a great music scene, originals and covers and everything. Like you could literally play 7 nights a week around Newcastle at that time. And we were very young and very silly and had a lot of fun.
Yes,
but yeah, good times.
And we were just talking off air before about me seeing you play at the Castle, and
that was kind of our resident gig.
Yeah,
back in the day, we would play that. We had a residency there, playing every Wednesday night for a lot of years, and then we play every second Saturday as well.
Right
there, so lots of fun.
And that was really cool. Like there was so many places you could just walk into and just see like a live band play, whether it was covers or originals.
King Street and Hunter Street, I remember.
Yeah.
Like, there'd be 20 odd venues, and they would all have a band, and
yeah,
you could walk into the what was it called, the Star Hotel, and one of the Screaming Jets, like Paul was singing, would be there playing Helping Hand or Better or something like that, and you'd go to the next bar and such would be there. It was really good times.
The Grand, the Underground, the Cambridge, and there was
the Ducks Nuts.
Ducks Nuts.
Yeah. Well, I think it used to be the Family back in the day, but man,
it was a bit before my time, but also the JR. They also used to have like a band play there, and
I actually think the JR was our very first gig in Newcastle,
right.
And it was I remember Sunday night, and you would start at midnight on a Sunday night,
right?
Like midnight, and everyone would go to the beaches or something, and then
the beaches,
and then it would close down, and then everyone would be at the JR, and yeah.
And did you get some gigs at the Palais as well, or was that?
I never got to play the Palais,
right.
But I know that was kind of a pretty massive venue back in the day. But I never even got to see a show there. Even I think that might have been maybe a bit before my time here.
They tried. I think they tried to reopen it, and I remember when my band was first starting there in Newcastle, we actually played. Not on the stage, but in front of the stage, and it was like trying to get money into it to redevelop it, but it didn't sort of work. But we're just saying, like, you get your stamp at the Castle, then go to the Newcastle Workers Club, the
biggest disco,
and then that'd finish at around midnight, and then you'd come back to the Castle, and normally your band would be playing there, rocking out.
Till about 2:30 in the morning.
That's right. So that was the sort of the routine, and then you'd maybe walk to the Grand Hotel. But some good times there, and I remember you playing Freak and Pearl Jam and Nirvana, like you said before, and really, really rocking out. So how long did Valhalla sort of keep going for in that stage?
So, 18 years. So I'm trying to the timeline. If it's 2021? I guess we kind of finished as Viper Creek started. So I want to say 2011 or 2011 January 1st. We did the New Year's Eve 2010 into 2011 was our last show, and then kind of Viper Creek took over. So it was 18 years and many members in and out of that band, but lots of. But is there
one thing that sort of stands out touring with Valhalla that you can think of?
I guess we did do like predominantly a cover band, but we put out an EP in 2000 and of original stuff, which nobody should ever try and find that. It's not worth listening to. But like that was a fun time to just kind of recording our own stuff and putting it out and that. But yeah, lots of fun with those guys, and they're all still friends as well. A lot of those guys were in the very early stages of Viper Creek band as well. So
right. So I guess there was sort of the stages there where, especially if you're in a cover band or even if in an original band, you haven't been sort of signed. It's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit older now, family, relationships, you know, I've got to work. You know, so how was that for you? Was it difficult, like, to balance work and playing in Valhalla?
Yeah, I guess I met my wife in 2005, and I think I was at a point in where I was thinking about giving up music, and I went out and tried the day job thing, and I installed security systems and cameras and crawled around in roofs.
Right. Wow.
And and then I ended up getting a job at Billy Hyde's Music here in Newcastle, and I sold guitars and pedals and stuff. So, but then Viper Creek kind of crept in and
so tell us about that. Hugely popular all around Australia and in the US as well. I've seen you've done a couple of tours there of the US.
Yeah.
So how did that all come about? Like, and you said that you played your last Valhalla gig. Did any of those band members, you know, did you think that, you know, these guys were interested, or, you know, they just want to break away from that band?
Yeah, well, it was actually a couple of guys that were in Valhalla previously that I kind of started Viper Creek with. But
right,
I grew up obviously in Narrabri. Country music is pretty big there, and I spent a lot of time with my grandfather growing up, and he was the world's biggest Slim Dusty fan.
Right.
So I kind of feel before I was probably 10 years old, I really didn't realize that there was any other music other than Slim Dusty, you know, like that's kind of what he listened to. And so I've always had a passion for country music. And even in the 90s, I remember, like, I had long hair, and, you know, everyone wanted to be Eddie Vedder or
that's right, like the grunge
thing,
new metal.
But we would get in. I was saying before about the bus we had, 22-seater bus, and we had the old CD Walkman with the cassette that you'd plug into the tape player, like, and I'd be playing Garth Brooks and Shania Twain and Brooks and Dunn and Alan Jackson. And the guys in my band were like, yeah, all right, okay. and I always had a plan. I said, when I turn 30, I want to do a country thing. So that was always kind of the plan to end up here. So yeah, that's what happened.
Very interesting. As again, as we were speaking before, I recognize the band and some of the songs that you used to play. And then I go to the brewery for lunch, and all of a sudden I see Valhalla, but he's playing all country and Western songs. And it's like, hang on a sec.
Yeah.
It looks like Valhalla, but it's turned different style. So initially, you would have had the Valhalla fans, like the regulars, coming to watch you play. So how was their reaction to the Viper Creek originally when it first started?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who who knew me knew that I loved, like, country music anyway. So they kind of knew that I had that in me. But there was definitely some, what is he doing? What is he doing? Kind of reactions amongst people. But
yes,
yeah, I think they took it pretty well. And I mean, our style of country is on the cusp of being rock too. So
yes,
it's not too far of a left turn to get where we are. Really.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So let's talk about this. So you said that Valhalla played their last band show, and then Was it a very brief period to transaction into the Viper Creek? Did you want to write original music straight away? How was that transition for you?
I think I'd already started to write a bit because I'd been to Nashville the year before.
Right.
As a fan, I went over for the country music festival in Nashville.
Oh wow.
And just got immersed in it. Like if you've ever been to Nashville, it's just like they live and breathe country music there. And
yes.
I was just like, I've got to do this. So I think I started writing and had quite a few songs already written by the time we started the band. And we kind of just, Valhalla folded and we started rehearsing with the Viper Creek lineup.
Yes.
And I guess it was nearly a year before we played a show, really. So we just got it all happening. And we actually recorded an EP before we'd done a show. So, and a funny little thing we did was I let my friends and people who have supported my music over the years kind of choose the band name and stuff like that. So we did an online kind of poll on Facebook, and we had like 5 names, and I can't even remember. There was like Mercy Wheel was one, and such and Viper Creek Band, and everybody loved, like 90% of people voted for Viper Creek Band. And
so where did that originate from?
Right. So the name, my wife and I had been to America, as I said, and we were walking down Sunset, and we took a selfie outside the Viper Room.
And gotcha.
Yeah, so there was a photo at the front of our house of us outside the Viper Room, and I'd walk past it every day, and I was like, Viper, there's something cool about that. I'd love to put that in a band name. And I just got to thinking, how do I make that sound country? And I thought, creek. What's more country than a creek? And
is there actually a Viper Creek anywhere?
No, I don't think there is.
All right.
I think we need to make one though. We need to name one or something.
That's right.
And at the time, I was really into the Zac Brown band, so I liked the Zac Brown band, like that kind of feel. So it was the Viper Creek Band. So that's where the name kind of came from.
Yeah, that's very, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So you said that you had the EP already written with the Viper Creek. Did you have management already with Viper Creek as well, or was it something that you were just doing by yourself?
In all honesty, mate, all we wanted, we were just doing Viper Creek for mainly fun. Right. We thought if we can get a couple of Sunday afternoon gigs around Newcastle, and maybe we could play the Tamworth Country Music Festival like the following year. Maybe we'd get a couple of gigs up there. So, cut to all this online Facebook. I got people to choose the name, and as we were writing the songs in the studio, I'd put little videos, snippets of the song, and say, "What do you guys think this should end up on the EP?" and stuff. So people kind of felt involved in the band. They got to choose the album, cut the photo for the album cover.
Right.
We just put it all on a vote. So it was like almost like an Facebook reality show kind of thing. People got to vote for their thing. And by the time the album came out, I really had no idea what was going on. And it was released, and it was number 1 on iTunes that morning. So we sold a lot of copies when no one had ever seen the band live before.
Just like word of mouth.
Really, the band was just, it was meant to be fun. It was never meant to kind of end up where it has. We thought we'd go to Tamworth and do a couple of shows, and maybe they'd play our film clips on CMC if we put one out and stuff like that. So it was kind of just this snowball thing that happened with the band and gained momentum. And I can remember talking to some booking agents here in Newcastle who booked my band.
Yes.
Valhalla. I'm like,
was it EAO? That was one of the big ones.
Yeah, they're one of the big ones here. it wasn't them, but
Okay.
I won't name anyone. But
Okay,
they said,
sure.
They told me there's no room for country music. No one wants to hear country music in Newcastle.
Oh.
And I'm like, you are kidding, right?
Yeah.
Because I know that there's a lot of country music fans
yes.
in Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the venues direct and just said, look, can we come and play on Sunday? We'll do it at a very cheap rate. And if people don't like it or they walk out, don't pay us. And we did our first show, I think it was like October 2011. And it was massive. And it just, the punters loved it. And just.
So you're still doing country covers to sort of fill the setup, right?
Yeah. I mean, we only had 6 or 7 original songs. So
right.
We were. Obviously, I'm a massive Keith Urban fan, so we played a lot of Keith Urban. We played Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson and, like a lot of the newer kind of Eric Church and Kip Moore and stuff like that, the newer American covers and Zac Brown Band and stuff like that. So, and we also threw in some stuff that was on the cusp of country. I mean, John Mellencamp, in a way, like is pretty country when you listen to that stuff. He's got the fiddle and the accordion and stuff. So, man, if that stuff came out today, that would be classed as country. So we played a lot of Mellencamp and Tom Petty and Creedence and stuff like that to fill the setup as well. And I feel that stuff is very country.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I've had a couple of country western music from Newcastle and from Australia, and I'm always interested to ask them about how country and western music has sort of changed, because you've got your diehard fans that like that traditional sort of style of country and western, and then as it progressed, it started to become very, very pop, like Taylor Swift, and what is your opinion on that? Like, where do you sit on that? Like, I've got a friend, Tina Martin. I don't know if you know her.
I know Tina, yeah.
Yeah, Tina. Yeah. So I went to school with Tina, and I had her on the podcast and asked her that question, and she was one of those people that was very traditional country, and then all of a sudden, all these other bands, country western, were like sort of turning very pop, and it wasn't even country, and she was sort of stuck in that middle. So, what's your opinion on that?
I mean, I am not a huge fan of modern country music. 10, 15 years ago, there was kind of a change, and I thought it was kind of cool. Guys like Jason Aldean were coming out, and it was a bit more rocky.
Yes.
It's gone pretty pop these days, and I'm not a huge fan of the new stuff. I can appreciate it, but I still I love the 90s
traditional
kind of Brooks and Dunn, and I still listen to Mel Haggard and George Jones and all that older country stuff as well, but I don't really listen to a lot of new country, we'd say. I prefer, I don't want to be that guy that's, bagging out on the new country.
Of course not.
But I like
you
it.
Stick to your guns.
It sounds pretty country,
Yes. So 2012, I've got here that Crazy Tonight was released. Now, that wasn't the EP, was it? Or was that
was the first EP? Yeah.
That was the first EP, right?
Yep. So I wrote all those songs on that record, like just kind of that EP leading up to the release and stuff. So
do you still play songs off that EP now in your set?
There's 2 songs on that EP that we do play. One's called My Hometown, and we actually re-recorded that because it was one of my favorite songs that I've written, and I was never really happy with as I said, that first EP. We didn't spend a lot of money on it. It was very, very basic, because we never thought it was going to kind of blow up like it did
Yes.
in a way. So we re-recorded that one, and there's another song called Long Way Down, which is very country. We re-recorded that and put it on our first full-length album, which is a couple of years later. So we still play those, especially in my hometown, because we released that as a single. It's one of our probably best charting kind of songs as well.
Right.
And that's still in the set. So yeah.
That's good. That's good to hear. And well, you said that it took like two years to release a full-fledged album. Why was that? Was it just because you were just touring, just playing as many gigs as you could?
Yeah, we're just kind of getting the name out there. So we, I guess the next year we put out another EP.
Yes. Now, was this dance like there was no one's watching?
That's the one.
Right,
Yep.
2014. So that's the second EP.
Yep.
So
that was an EP, another 6 songs, I think, on that.
So having 2 EPs, then it's starting to get like a little bit more serious than just like playing a show on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. So
you started to progress and started to get. Was this with management now coming into this?
Yeah, we had management and stuff like that at the time, and I guess we were doing a lot of bigger festivals and getting better time slots on those festivals and stuff like that. So that the natural progression was to put out a full-length album, and we were probably making a little bit more money. We could afford to do that as well. So
right.
We spent a bit more money on that one.
Speaking of that, like, were you able to do this as a full-time job at that stage, or were you still working full-time?
No, I think I was full-time with the band. Then I'd finished crawling through roofs and selling guitars. So, yes, I mean, it's like any business. You have good weeks and bad weeks, but
yes.
The band, I've been kind of full-time with Viper Creek now since, I guess, around that time that first album came out. What was that? Was it 2014?
Yes.
Kicking Up Dust. So, yeah.
So the release, let's talk about that, the release of the first full album. So was this like a combination of the 2 EPs, or was it like a full brand new material?
There was the 2 songs we re-recorded from the first EP, but the rest were new songs. So there was 10 songs on the record and 8 new ones and 2 re-recorded. But I guess at that stage we'd kind of worked out how the country music scene worked a little bit as well. So I did a bit of co-writing on that album. I wrote a song with Morgan Evans and a couple with Troy Kemp, and Morgan had been spending a lot of time in Nashville by that stage already, and I needed a ballad. We didn't have a ballad on the record, and he gave me a song that he wrote with some people in Nashville to record for the record. So there's some stuff on there that I did. The first album was the first time we'd released stuff that I actually hadn't written.
Right.
And that's that's the way it works in country music. Like,
yes,
it's people don't seem to be as precious about writing the song. They just want the best song. It doesn't matter if they've got their name on it or not. So yeah, the first record I did a bit of writing for it, but a few of the songs were sourced from Nashville writers and stuff like that. So
this started took you on like a bit of a tour as well. So you had your record label, you had management booking your shows, or were you still booking your shows at that time?
No, we had an agent that was booking our shows, and we did a couple of little tours and stuff like that. But it was a lot of festivals. I think we launched that record at CMC Rocks Festival, which used to be the Hunter. Used to be here in our own backyard. And I can't remember who was on the bill that year. It was like Toby Keith or Tim McGraw or someone, I think. So we launched the record that week up there, which was fun. So. And
did you also was this like going up to the music festival, Tamworth Music Festival as well?
Yeah. We used to we do 15 or 16 shows over the 10 days.
Wow.
Like crazy. And if you've ever been to Tamworth, it's very hot. It's 35 to 40 degrees most days. So you're playing a 3-hour show and you finish and you feel like death, and then you got to get up and do it the next day. And so we do 10 full shows and then appearances, like a couple of songs at a radio station or a couple of songs at a shopping mall or whatever to promote the show. So, and it was a lot of fun to do it, but I couldn't do that anymore. Yeah, I'm too old to do that. Yeah, the old legs wouldn't hold me up that long.
I read somewhere online that you would probably do maybe 1 or 2 ticketed shows.
That's what we're kind of doing now. The last 4 or 5 years has just been ticketed shows. So we've literally a couple of times just drove up to Tamworth, done the show, turned around and come back home.
But for people that haven't actually been up there, tell us what the experience like of having like a weekend up there. I mean, I went up there a couple of years ago, and it was, I'm not the biggest country and western fan, but I definitely respect it. And it's not just country and western music, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. There's all kinds of music, and it's everywhere. Every bar, every club has music on, like from 10 in the morning till 2 a.m. And I don't know I think it's still the biggest music festival in the Southern Hemisphere. I believe it's.
And the longevity as well. It's been going for such a long
40
time.
Years, I think.
Yeah.
40 years. I think it was supposed to be this year was the anniversary, maybe, or next year is one or the other. But
right.
It truly is. It's amazing. It's a really great time. We've had some of the best gigs we've ever played up there. Like it's there's just some kind of vibe, and it is, and everybody's there. The whole country music industry, like they're all there for the week, and you'll be just running into people left, right, and center, and you drink way too much beer and stay out way too late. But if anyone's there that's ever thought about doing it, definitely put it on your bucket list, because it is a great time.
Definitely. Yeah. I remember, in a tent on a farm, and just seeing people just busking on the road and just enjoying music and just having a good time. You know what I mean? Yep. So, no, I'm definitely with you. So
it's good fun.
So I read here that Kicking Up Dust debuted at number 2 in the ARIA charts. That's an amazing achievement. Like, how did you feel about this? Like your first album with the band? And
I remember we had a manager at the time, and we were actually backstage at CMC Ross, I think, or we might have been in the VIP bar, and he was getting the numbers through at the time, and he told us, he's like, "Oh, your album's number 2 on the country ARIA charts," and with us, like it was, it's a great feeling. And then the charts come out on Monday, and you can go online and have a look, and you see your album right there underneath Keith Urban or something. It's like it's a really cool feeling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
amazing experience. So then 2 more years after that, I mean, you did lots of touring. And also says here that you're the guest host of the Country Music Awards as well. Was that a little bit later on, or was that in that period?
No, we never guest hosted the Country Music Awards. Is that?
No, CMC. You were the guest host.
No. I don't know who's making up that. Morgan hosted it. Morgan hosted it a couple of times, so maybe we get the Newcastle crew thing. But we got nominated for quite a few CMC awards. I think we were nominated for 5 or 6 over the years. We never picked one up with Viper Creek, but I did win one eventually with a little side project I had with Kempy called Tailgate Drive. So we won a CMC award for that, which was pretty cool. And
speaking of that, like you were saying how the person said that country music scene in Newcastle is not very good. They used to have those gigs up in the Hunter Valley all the time.
Yep.
Now I've been told that it's moved to Brisbane.
Yeah, the CMC Rocks Festival moved to Brisbane. I just don't think it was a financial decision. I think,
Gotcha.
and there's Queensland's the place for it because there's a lot of country music fans in Queensland. I think not last year, the year before, it felt like every second or third weekend we were flying to Brisbane to play some festival. So, yeah, unfortunately we lost it to Queensland, that festival. It was great out here, but definitely it blossomed and grew massive up there. So they did the right thing. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm sure there are lots of Newcastle people going up there, yearly to rock out as well. So
totally.
Absolutely. 2016, 2 years, full of touring, and you bring out Just Press Play.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the sort of focus with this album? Were you trying to sort of continue what you've been doing, or were you trying to sort of mix it up with this one?
I guess this album, we were going for a more polished kind of vibe.
Right.
And I actually went through a bit of a lineup change in between that album and the Just Press Play record, like a complete lineup change. And
wow.
And that album was actually, a lot of work was done on that in Nashville as well. Like a lot of, basically on that record, the only thing that was recorded in Australia is my vocal. The rest was all,
right.
Yeah, at the time, my band had just kind of started with me. So all the musicians on that record are all Nashville session guys. So I'm just singing on that record. It's not actually my band playing on it,
right.
That's how things work sometimes in the industry. So we were going for a very kind of polished, modern Nashville sound on that record. And I still really like the production and the sound of that album to this day.
Did that take a long time to record? Doing it in separate countries or separate times?
Man, these guys over there are just
professionals.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yes. I've been told that. Yeah.
Yeah, they just get the song and they'll play their parts and they'll give you a couple of options for guitar solos, and you'll get it back and you're like, that's the best guitar solo I've ever heard. And then you'll play the next one and like, oh, that's a great solo too. So you got to, choose which one's right. But they're amazing. The guys, the session guys in Nashville, and some of those guys on that record are, Reba McEntire's band. It's Luke Bryan's guitar player and stuff on it. So there's some heavy hitters on that album.
Yeah, right. So you said you had a brand new lineup. Were these guys from Nashville, or did you get the guys back here in Australia?
Yeah, no, they're all guys that I've kind of known around here. But I think at the time we were touring a lot, and the original Viper Creek members were all having families, and we did a couple of weeks in America, and before we left to do that, we played on a cruise ship. So like here we did country cruising. Yeah. We were away for nearly a month all up, and the guys were away from their families, and I think it just became a bit too much for a couple of them, and like everything, it's never good at the time, and it was a tough thing to go through. But we're like the other side of it, we're all mates again. We catch up. They play and they do what they want to do. They're not committed to one single act. They'll be playing with different artists, and I'll catch up with them at festivals and stuff like that. And there's no hard feelings. It was just I was wanting to go harder and further and do as much as we can, and those guys were kind of just happy to play once or twice a month and that. So yeah,
You're either in or out, right?
Yeah. So it was a brand new lineup that for Just Press Play, and that was 5 years ago now. So the guys that are in the band now have been with me longer than anyone, really. So
right.
yeah.
And what did they bring into the band musically? I mean, and did it change the style that you were doing? Like,
kind of.
But a bit more professional.
When you do change any member of the band, things are going to change.
Yes.
But the beauty I had was I got to kind of handpick these guys and like it was kind of like a dream lineup because I just went through, thought if I could have any guitar player in Newcastle, who would I have? And I'd met Jeremy at Billy Hyde's. He was a young guy doing his HSC, and he'd come in and pick up the guitars, and like, that little guy's great, and he loved Keith Urban as well, so I knew he could play that kind of style that I wanted. And I'd seen Ruben, my bass player, play around town for years, and just knew he was solid. And the drummer at Brad, I'd seen him since he was 18, and just watched him kind of turn into a powerhouse drummer. So I got to kind of choose the lineup I wanted, and been going really good.
So you went on tour. It was a huge tour for this one, because the next album didn't come out to 2019. So down here you did a tour of Nashville. So tell us about that. I want to talk about that. It says here the AAA tour.
Okay. That's so. My friend owns a tour company, so we had this idea of maybe we could take a tour group to Nashville, and so we had a couple of meetings, and I know there's some other tour companies that do the same thing, but because I'd been to Nashville 10 or 12 times, I kind of knew what those tours were missing out on. I was like, if I was on that tour, or if I went to Nashville on a tour, what would I want to see?
Yes.
So I kind of knew, help put the itinerary together for that tour and stuff like that. So so Troy Kemp, who's my mate, we ran the tour together, the two of us, and my mate Nathan, who owns Soundmart Tours, is the tour company, and we took 40 people over on the first year, which was 2018.
Right.
2019, I think we took 60, a group of 60, and 2020 we had over 100 people booked to go to Nashville for the CMA Fest, and of course that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Of course that didn't happen, but
rescheduled?
we've rescheduled, but rescheduled to 2021, but that ain't going to happen either. So we're looking for 2022, I think.
Yes.
But it's good. It's a great fun trip. It's just party central, like it's and Nashville, when the Country Music Festival's on, it's much like Tamworth. Everybody's there, so you can pretty much see whoever you want because they're all there in town for the festival. It's a great week.
Absolutely. And then the last album that come out is 2019. Debuted #1 in the ARIA charts. Another amazing achievement. Beautiful Destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 years this took now from the last album. So it was just having time to sort of, after the busy schedule of touring, was then time to just relax and then focus on writing some new material.
Yeah, I think it was just more a strategic thing with that. The album was recorded a long time before it was released.
Right.
We just dropped. We were working with a marketing team, and they had a grand plan. I was like, just get it out. It's done. Like, get it out so we can play the songs. And the marketing team wanted to drop 2 singles before the record. So I guess there was easily 6 months before the record kind of came out that it was finished and ready to go. So it's that anxious wait for it to come out. But yeah, far out. That's been 2 years, right, since that came out.
That's right. Yes, it was
crazy.
Yeah, as I said, debuted at #1 again. Do you just get used to that? You know, just coming out, bringing out an album, and then all of a sudden it just comes #1 in the charts.
I don't think you don't get used to it. It's always a nervous wait, and have we sold enough copies, or you know, how's sales going and stuff, and has Keith Urban got an album out, because you got to
trying to compete with him,
and that's always hard to do. But yeah, it's always a great feeling to get any kind of chart, especially ARIA charts, to get a good position. Yeah.
And speaking of Keith Urban, I saw there's a video there. You got up and played with him on a radio show.
Yeah, I've actually I've met Keith quite a few times over the years, and I gave him a copy of our record, Just Press Play, and the next time I saw him, he actually rattled off his 2 favorite songs from the record. So
wow,
I was kind of blown away. So he kind of knows who we are, I guess, in a way. Like when he came to Newcastle and played a show, when was it? Early 2019, and I got to go backstage and have a chat to him, and I walked through the door and he recognized me and stuff. So that's always cool when your idol,
absolutely,
kind of knows who you are. But yeah, I got to sing with him. It was I don't know what it was, a Triple M or something like that. Brought him out for a radio thing in Sydney, and we got tickets to that, and he kind of called me up to sing a bit of the song, and I was so nervous. For the first 2 lines, if you listen carefully, my voice is just doesn't want to work.
Right.
And I could hear the nerves in there, but I got through it in the end, and it was, I just thought I'm going to enjoy this, because not every day Keith Urban's playing guitar for you.
That's right.
So,
yes.
Yeah, that turned into a big thing. Brove McManus was there, because I guess he was Triple M at the time, and then had me into the studio the next day and interviewed me about Keith and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also saw, like, watching some of your live film clips as well. You have the didgeridoo.
Yeah.
And Australian Girls. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ruben's Aboriginal, and he plays the didge really well, and it's kind of a really cool part of our set. People love it, and you know that because as soon as he starts to blow on that thing, the phones come out. So
all right, yeah.
I've been up here singing my ass off all night. No one's pulled a phone out, and he blows in a stick, and the phones come out. No, I'm only joking. It's very cool. It's good part of our set, and people love it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Damien. So let's get close to wrapping it up here. So we could talk. I know it's been very brief over your career, but what advice would you give to an inspiring musician, locally or internationally, that picking up a guitar for the first time? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, just do it. If you love it, do it. I mean, I kind of feel like I never had a choice to be a musician. It was something that was ingrained in me. I really don't have many other interests outside of music. Everything I do, every holiday I go on, and it's always around music. I love it. Do it if you love it. Do it, because the joy you're going to get from playing an instrument is going to beat everything. You'll never get the feeling of playing your instrument is just the best feeling ever. And if you get to play people.
Yeah, and then the friendship as well. I mean, the musical, the people of all different styles of music, and they'll gel together. So
totally. Yep. Yeah. All of my friends are musicians. That's kind of who I hang out with. Like, so, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. And tell us. So you've got, like we said at the start, you got lots of gigs coming up. You've got the cruise, but what does the future hold for Damien Baguley?
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to do an album this year. Like we probably due for one. We lost a year of touring and lost a year of revenue on the last record. So I think we've actually put together a new show for this year because I can't sit at home again this year. So we're thinking, what can we do without having new music out? What can we do if we've got to go do shows where it's kind of socially distanced and people have to sit down? So I had this idea of doing a concept show with the Viper Creek Band, but playing all Australian music. So we've done a couple of, it's called the Made in Australia show. So we're playing, Ice House and Goanna and In Excess. Nice. And then we're doing like Lee Kernigans, your Adam Brands and your John Williamsons, and throwing in the country stuff as well.
Yes.
So I just felt like, we're very lucky to live in Australia, and what better way to celebrate living in the greatest country in the world is to go out and do a few shows with that. And then we're playing we do the Made in Australia set, and then we play 8 or 9 of our own songs at the end, and then we finish with an Aussie classic. So we've been doing a few of those shows this year. So we've got a few of those coming up, touring and trying to get out and play where we can. And I think we're just going to drop a couple of singles this year. I've got a couple of things that probably going to record in the next couple of months and just put them out. And but until we can kind of get back to some kind of normal and we can tour and promote a record how it's supposed to be done, then it just feels kind of pointless to put out a 10-track album at the moment. So
absolutely,
yeah, a couple of singles and some shows. So that's what this year's going to be for us, I think.
Sounds good. Just wanted to go back on one thing I wanted to talk about. I'm always interested to find out on your opinion on the Newcastle music scene. We were saying like in the mid 90s it was pumping. Yeah. 2021, not so much.
Yeah, I guess.
What's your sort of opinion on that?
I mean, it's. I guess it's been a while since we've had a big band like Silverchair or the Screaming Jets. But I guess Morgan's doing pretty well for himself in Nashville at the moment. So he's kind of the guy flying the Newcastle flag for us at the moment. But there's some great new artists coming through. Some great young guys around town that are doing some really good stuff. And
country style? Or?
Yeah, there's some great country, like old country. I mean, Catherine Britt, who lives here in town, she's mentoring a lot of young artists and stuff like that. So yeah, we had
Christy James on there a couple of months ago. Oh, sorry, we had Christy James a couple of months ago as well. She's helping out the Newcastle scene as well. So
totally, yeah. I think we're about to see some great stuff come out of Newcastle again. Just got to get through this COVID stuff.
That's it, and hopefully more venues, can open up and support the original music scene. Because there's always good music coming out of Newcastle.
Yeah, 100%. It's the greatest city in the world.
Absolutely, come on! I miss it so much.
I bet you do.
Yeah, summertime there. All right, Damien. Like to finish off, I just like to ask some very, very quick questions. Give me your top 2 or 3, favorite of all time as of today.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. First one. Your top 3 favorite bands as of today.
The Beatles. Oh, good Lord. This is always hard. This is hard. I'm looking over at my... I'm a massive U2 fan. I love U2. And I'm going to say Bon Jovi.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a huge...
Me too.
Bon Jovi fan and massive fan of John, and you know he's stood the test of time and still killing it. So,
how many music sort of genres he's sort of gone through, and he's still,
totally, man,
still pumping out really good music.
And to me, a lot of that Bon Jovi stuff sounds kind of country as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did a record in Nashville called Lost Highway, and that's one of my favorite albums of all time. Some of those songwriters on there are just the bee's knees from Nashville. So that's,
absolutely.
Cool.
Top 3 favorite movies.
Movies. All right. Pulp Fiction.
Oh, classic.
7.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies of all time. And, oh, man. What's another great movie? There's got to be a musical in there, surely. What about Grease? I've got to say Grease.
Grease. Oh, nice one. I like it. You're saying that you're not much outside of music, but you have 3 favorite sporting teams.
Right. Well, I've got to say Newcastle Knights, otherwise.
Come on.
And I guess I used to play a bit of basketball back in the day, so I was a Chicago Bulls and LA Lakers kind of guy. Yes. Who else? Man, I'll have to say the Tennessee Titans too. I've got to go with the Nashville football team. So,
and tell us, besides Newcastle, what are your 2 or 3 favorite cities in Australia to play at?
Well, I'll tell you, we just did a show on the weekend in Canberra. We've never played Canberra before. We played a couple of festivals around that area, and I was surprised how many people actually came out and knew who we were. So Canberra was a great show on the weekend. So Canberra's one of my favourite places at the moment.
Yeah,
it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah,
and I mean. Yeah, it's always fun to go to Queensland and play because the country music fans up there. Yeah. So anywhere in Queensland really is a good time. We do a couple of great festivals like the Gympie Muster. We play that a lot, and the Groundwater Country Music Festival on the Gold Coast. Like that's some of the greatest gigs we've played are there. Like just in the middle of Surf Parade with the buildings all around you and the sound bouncing back at you from the building, and a couple of thousand people in front of you. It's always a good time.
Yes, sounds like some pretty good places up in Queensland. They like that.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And final one, who is your biggest inspiration / hero?
I've got to say Keith, really. When I first heard of Keith when he was in a band called The Ranch, so back in the early 90s when he first moved to Nashville, and that record, that first Ranch album, I still listen to that.
He's an amazing guitar player.
Phenomenal. I don't think people realise just how good a guitar player Keith is. He's phenomenal. But that first record that he put out there kind of summed up what I wanted to do. Like there was all kinds of different infused styles of music on that album. And it was pretty country. When you listen to it now, it's pretty country. But back in the day, it was groundbreaking. You know, it was. I think they called some of the songs funktry. They're kind of funky, and there's some rocky stuff on there, and that. So Keith is kind of being the guy for me that's set the benchmark of what you want to do and where you can go with country music.
Absolutely. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
All right, Damien. And is there anything that you want to promote? Any websites? Any sort of shout outs you want to give?
Come visit on our Facebook page. We're pretty active on there, and the vipercreekband.com.au is the website. We've been pretty slack about updating the gigs because we don't know if they're going to go ahead from week to week at the moment. So, but I will start to get that all updated and some shows. And if we come to your area, we'd love to see you guys.
And you've got one coming up soon at the football field at Charleston.
Yeah, so that's going to little festival. Just at Charleston. It's the first time they've done it there, and so they've kind of asked me to find some acts to put on for the day. So I've found like 6 or 7 of my friends and guys that I enjoy playing with as well. So it should be a fun day. Hopefully the weather's going to be kind to us. It's been a little bit rainy this week, on and off, but it was raining this morning. There's beautiful blue sky outside at the moment, so who knows? We're fingers crossed for some good weather this weekend.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, all the best, Damien. You're waving the flag for country and Western music, not only in Newcastle but in Australia. Keep making people happy, and all the best for the future with writing new music.
Thank you so much for having me, Craig. It's been a lot of fun, man.
No worries. Okay. Thanks for your time, Damien.
Cheers, mate.
Okay. Bye-bye.